Feed me in, baby.
All right.
All right.
I like to make it different every time.
I never know what I'm gonna get.
Nope. It's like a box of chocolates.
Yeah. Jenny.
You are my Jenny.
Jenny was a whore.
Yeah, but you're not my whore. You're my Jenny. You're my Jenny to Forest.
You're
You
my
what?
Forest to my Jenny.
To Forest, she was not a whore.
No, but she was a whore.
Was
She's dead. She died of AIDS. She died
from whoring or from needling? Needle whoring.
probably both. Yeah, I
From
forgot that
being a
I
needle whore.
forgot she was a drug addict. Yeah.
It was 70s,
Was.
So not that we ever preconceive these, but we decided, hey, let's jump back into some other
Some us stuff.
real stuff. So
Yeah.
just right before I hit the record button.
Yeah, you did.
So well, what I want to talk about. Let's talk about this.
Okay.
This morning, you went to go pick up
Birthday
birthday cake.
cake. Yeah, we had a birthday party today.
And then after that, you got back, and then we loaded up.
Mm-hmm.
And well, first you loaded up with the children that wanted to go
Yeah,
down the road
and
to
they
go
didn't.
pick up the birthday cake.
And they didn't even get out of the car. Like she brings the
They
cake
just
out.
wanted to
Yeah,
go for a ride.
they just, and that's really all it did. Yeah,
And they're the two best friends that
that
anyone
everywhere
had.
Yeah,
They're the two best friends
Well,
that anyone.
they're only 5 days apart. They go to the same school. They're in the same hallway. They're across hall from each other. Like,
They love each other.
mhm.
It's more than love, though.
Yeah,
It's a tried and true, like legit
family.
best friend
Yeah.
friendship.
Yep. Yeah, it's amazing how well they all coexist together.
Yeah, most of them. Most of the time, too.
Yeah.
So during that said getaway,
Yeah.
I received a text message.
You did. And I forgot that I'd even sent this message until you said something a few minutes ago.
And the text message went something like this. I'm not going to read it verbatim.
Oh.
Or maybe I will. Maybe I'll hit it spot on.
Mm.
Very seldom can I do that.
It was a very one-liner, like I think it was maybe 5 words together.
Then I might hit it spot on.
Here, I'll pull it up.
Nope.
No, I want to know if I'm not going to read it to you. I just want to know if you.
Okay.
Okay.
I want to plan our wedding.
Close.
Can I get one redo?
Yeah.
I'm ready to plan our wedding.
Close.
No, I'm still not on it. All right.
No, it's more words than I thought it was. It says, I think I'm ready to book our wedding.
Book it. It's not even a plan.
No.
So let's talk about just those words for a second.
Yeah. So
because you didn't use the word plan
and
you used the word book.
Uh-huh.
How are those two different things?
I don't know, because in my head I'm thinking for me, like you have to book, because my brain goes to the event planner part of me, and you book your venue, you book your not to me it's not planning, it's booking certain people for certain things inside of your event. Like that's what planning is to me. So I'm like, okay, well, it's not planning a wedding.
Yeah.
Because we've already planned to get married. Like we've already planned that part of it. So now you got to book the shit. Like you got to book all of the things.
I planned to propose and then I executed a proposal.
Yeah.
So I want to take a pause before we get too far.
Okay.
To our audience, because I'm going to go back to, especially for this conversation, because I just love.
My socks don't match.
I love looking at my wife in the eyes.
I love looking at you.
And even though she's not on a piece of paper, she's my wife.
Yeah.
So I'm going to apologize for not looking directly at you guys while we're having this conversation, because this is a conversation that I'm going to have with my wife, and y'all just get to enjoy it.
Yes.
So sorry for that short pause there, but I wanted to apologize for not making direct eye contact. I'm not avoiding you by any means, but I am giving 100% of my attention to my person.
Yeah. I'm trying to get this situated because I'm going to sideways.
And I'll probably move it around when my back starts hurting. But for right now, I'm good. So
Good.
back to us.
Yes. So yeah, that's right. Why I used that word book was because I was like, in my head, the event planning part of me, because I've planned some stellar ass events recently within
Yeah.
the past 2 years. And in my head, like I know what it's gonna cost. I know it's going to be
I'm like, wait, did I hit the record button?
you did. In my head, I'm thinking it's gonna be a $20,000 to $30,000
Yeah, and so we've talked about this,
event.
about not doing this.
Yeah.
And so are you thinking back on wanting to do something?
No, I'm not. I'm just ready to like I'm ready to have this I'm ready to have this event in our life. Whatever it looks like to us, whatever we decide it looks like.
Yeah.
It was just more or less like I'm ready to book this next step in our lives.
Yeah.
I'm ready to and I know that it's not possible yet for us, but I don't want you to
Not necessarily true.
well, yeah, but I also want you to know that it's not something that is just passive, and I'm also but also at the same time, it's not something I'm pressuring either. It's just letting you know, like, whenever you're ready,
No,
I'm
ultimately
ready.
I get to make a choice too, right?
Yeah.
It's I don't like using this scenario in this particular conversation, but relationships not 100%, nor is it 50-50. But this conversation is.
Mhm. It is. Yeah.
Because it could be half of you being ready and half of me not being ready.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's the case either.
No, but how else
Because if I wasn't ready, I would have not proposed to you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think some people use proposal
Crutch?
as a crutch and almost like a stopping point, like a pause point. Like, it's like,
Like,
"Okay, well,
I've already done that,
I
so I
don't"
don't have to necessarily get married to you yet.
Right. Yeah.
But it keeps you from
Right. Where
knocking at the door of asking or poking around
Right.
at it.
Yeah, like, I've got you locked in, you're not, like you're
You're not seeking anything else. You're not putting yourself
Right.
out there for anybody else.
Right.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, a lot of people use it as a pause point,
That's
like,
pretty shitty.
it is really shitty
And
because
at the same time, it's not. But at the same time, it is. Like, you're trying to hold this person back if you have shitty intentions
Yeah.
and you're out fucking around.
Mm.
I can
Or
see that being a
I
scenario.
could see it being a scenario too, but the scenario of which that I had in my head that I was thinking about was that people use it as like "Okay, great, we're engaged, let's move in together." And then it just stops, like, and then it's just stalemate, and so then the woman who's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get married," it never happens.
Yeah.
Because the guy's intention was to never get married and to never have the wedding. It was he got what he wanted, which is to one, have all the wifely
All the
stuff
wife
met.
features of a
Right.
wife.
All the wife criteria met
I think
without having to actually be wifed up.
there's so many different relationship dynamics that we can dive into on this, and I'm all about diving into them.
Why not?
Um,
But
but
as
yeah,
far
that's
as
definitely one.
yeah.
Like, okay, so the dude is like, all right, so I want wife features.
Yeah. What's the fastest way I can get those? How can I get the most wife features without actually wifing?
Bro, what the fuck? For real. I need wife features. If you cannot do shit on your
We're
own,
not the first people to
what in
have
the
this
what in the
conversation.
fuck is wrong with you to begin with if you can't do shit on your own? All right. For instance, you have kids, you're divorced, and you have your kids half of the time as a man. Okay.
Which is really unheard of, by the way.
That is
Half of the time? You
Ha-
have your kids half of the time? So, like 50-50.
Yeah.
That's really unheard of.
Is it?
Yeah. Courts are going
That's-
more towards it, like Florida just recently did
Well,
a
a lot of courts
50-50.
are.
Yeah, but okay. Anyways.
So say you're the guy that get your kids 50% of the time.
Mhm.
Well, just for instance,
Mhm.
bro, you have to have somebody else in your life to take care of your kids 50% of the time while you are supposed to be taking care of those children?
Yeah.
All right. So wait, you said yeah.
No, I know an instance where this is happening.
Okay.
Like, that's why I'm like, yeah, like, I'm not agreeing with you, but, like, I totally, like, can see like, I know this is happening. I know,
Well, I
like
know it's happening
well, yeah,
too.
because, like,
That's
for
why I
instance,
want to talk
like,
about it.
the relationship that I'm aware of is, like, they're been together going on almost 2 years. They have no intentions of getting engaged. They just recently moved in with each other.
One of them probably has no intentions. The other one's hoping for it, I would imagine.
Probably, I don't even wanna go into that aspect of it. Alls I'm getting at is it's like
I'm gonna say
she
I'm just gonna sorry, but I want to give the perspective of this.
Go for it.
I want to say that from the man's side, that because he's not having the intentions, from the female side, I can almost bet that she is having the want there.
Yeah.
Because for a female to be willing to take on all of those obligations for their person, right? Or the person that says that they're their person, she wants this to happen. And this is just females in general. I believe this is my belief. Okay, it doesn't have to be any of yours. Doesn't even have to be yours.
Mhm.
But this is my belief that females in general, after I would even say after dating for a year's worth of period of time,
365 days.
yes,
Mhm.
that it has crossed their mind at least 10 to 15 times. No scientific shit behind what I'm saying. I'm just thinking from a female's perspective, as a guy, as me, I'm thinking that it's gone through a female's mind at least that many times.
Yeah.
I could be completely wrong, but I'm thinking that if they've been like in an ongoing relationship for that amount of time,
Yeah.
the thought process has happened. Is this going to happen? Okay. Is this going to happen? And then think about another thing. All right, do my kids are my kids and their kids, because maybe they both have kids, right?
Mhm.
So are my kids and their kids going to get along? All right. Well, it's been a year at this point. It's been 2 years actually, but I'm only going into a
The
year.
first year. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
At a year, our kids have seen each other, that have been around each other. They've gone on vacations together. They've done certain things together. They go to school together. Whatever the case may be,
Mhm.
they get along.
Mhm.
Okay. Again, I'm speaking from the female,
The female.
the female's perspective.
Yeah.
That's where I got the F and the P
Uh-huh.
mixed.
Yeah.
Of this has got to be a mind thought process.
You would think so.
I would think so.
Like,
For a female.
and two, like,
And I'm not degrading a male's perspective on this. I'm only currently right now speaking on a female's perspective. What do you think?
uh,
Do you think I'm off by thinking that way?
no, because my thought process of it is it's like, even like, ah, here's the deal. It's like, you need to, what's wrong? Oh, you need to have a lot of conversations. And I don't remember us having conversations about us getting engaged. We did talk about marriage, but I don't believe there was a lot of conversations about getting engaged.
No.
Um, so I was truly shocked and surprised when we did get engaged. And I love that day and that moment. And it's very near and dear to my heart. And I'm happy that it happened the way that it did because there wasn't any aspect of it that you left out that
So
meant something to me. So
I completely planned this in my head differently than it actually went down, by the way. But continue.
so I'm thinking like eventually you've got to feel worthless in the aspect of like
From which perspective?
from a female's perspective, I would feel like after a while of like at the 2-year mark of us living together, I would have been like, so we're not going to get engaged or like I would want to have that conversation because then I know how to set my expectations of okay, do I want to continue in this relationship or do I need to find another relationship that I'm going to get what I want or what I need? And you need to have that. Like,
Yeah.
and so maybe they have had those conversations where she's getting everything out of the relationship that she wants and he's getting everything out of the relationship that he wants. I don't know. But what I'm getting at is it's like you're reaching 2 years of being together and it's just very odd to me that like you don't want to be connected to this person. And to me, on the outside looking in, you not wanting to be connected to this person shows to the entire world that is not your person. She is truly a convenience to you
From the man.
from the man. She is, and I'm
What about from the woman?
from the woman's standpoint, I would feel like eventually I would start going, I'm only a convenience. Like that would and I wouldn't even so much as voice that to my person because I wouldn't feel like
It's
I
just
could.
starting to make the actions.
Yeah, like I'm just okay, so I'm just a roommate. I'm just fulfilling all of his like sexual needs, his kids to school needs, like that's all. I'm just a need filler at this point. And that's where it's like that's why in marriage you have to work so hard to make sure that your person never feels like you're just a need filler.
Yeah.
Like, you can't have that. And that's where the emotional intimacy plays a role because
Yes.
even if you're not having physical intimacy, you need to be able to have that emotional intimacy so that you always feel wanted or needed and cared for on all levels. And so I feel like from her perspective and point, and even when I have seen this couple in public, it's almost like she's a shell of who she is, and I feel sorry for that aspect.
Well, I've seen some different stuff out of the person that we're talking about. Like, I'll reference a couple of things, like the reach out to grab the man and
Mhm,
the man knocking her away, like
mhm.
just to grab his hand to hold his hand to
Yeah.
walk down the road.
Right.
And another instance of you carry your own shit. Like,
Yeah.
I've got my stuff. You're going to carry your own shit,
Yeah.
dude. All right. So, and these are things that bother me as a man because as a man,
Well, and to me, that like I said, that shows
there's,
the outside world, like, obviously, you're not his person, and you are just there to fulfill needs.
yeah, like there's so much that goes into obviously a relationship, one, and then two, the thought process of what's the longevity of this relationship.
Oh, I
Right.
don't know. Well, yeah.
Well, there's a there's a psychological thought process that's got to go into the relationship. Right?
Sorry, one of the children messaged me. I missed I got part of it. There's a psychological thought process that goes into and then fill in the gap for me.
From a woman
Uh-huh.
about the relationship
Yes.
that goes, I need this fulfillment as I'm giving you fulfillment.
Mhm.
Where's mine?
Mhm.
And if
It
I'm reaching out for you
Mhm.
and you're pushing me away or you're not carrying my stuff for me, um, which for me, all right, the carrying of the stuff is a whole separate subject, honestly.
Okay.
That is just a man being a real man and doing manly things that are either that person's morals or respect or lack thereof.
Mhm.
So that part of it is a little bit different than, hey, I want to hold your hand as we walk down the road. Hey, I want to be next to you, side by side next to you as we walk down the street. I would like
Mm.
for you to open my door for me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I believe these are also communication skills that should be happening, when you're on your way to maybe to wherever you're going. Like, last time we went out, I didn't appreciate that you didn't open the door for me. Or last time we went out, I don't appreciate that you walk in front of me as and this is, I'm talking from the woman's side. And a man walking in front of a woman, all right, can mean a couple of different things. It
That's
can
all about, so that, for instance, is all about, like, the environment, and it's very situational for me
yeah,
because there are instances where I will
position yourself.
position myself to either be in front of you or behind you or beside you, and that all depends on what side of the road we're on, what crowd we're in.
And I'll do
Like,
the same.
yeah, like, it's very situational for me because, one, I'm either using you as a shield because
Yeah.
you're way taller than I am and you're a lot wider than I am. I'm just a very petite person, and I don't
Oh,
mean
and
that negatively.
but I always tell you, like, look, I'm
Yeah.
gonna clear a path.
Yeah.
Everybody follow in line because
Yes.
of the size of our family too. Like
Yes.
you'll drag the very end
I
of it,
do. I put all of our children
and
between
then
us.
we'll put the kids between us,
Yes.
and especially in crowds,
Yes.
it's like, all right, everybody follow dad.
Yes.
Mom's got you. We're not leaving anybody behind. No,
Right.
nobody's left behind.
No, and that is a very military way for me, is like, and me being the smallest person when being trained to clear rooms, I was the last person of entry, always. Just that's just the way I was trained.
Yeah,
And so I prefer that for our family, that I'm the last person and I will sweep a room. Like, would you leave behind? What did you forget? Like, turn off the lights, lock the door, whatever it is. I will sweep the room and like herd everybody where they need to go.
yeah.
And that's just, I don't know if that's the mother in me or if that's the military or if it's a combination of both, but yes, there are times of which
Could
you
be a
lead.
combination. It could
Yeah,
be either one.
you lead.
Full disclosure, I have no military background whatsoever, and my beautiful fiance does.
Yes,
And so, thank you for your service.
you're welcome. The kids want to change the Xbox name, but it's going to cost $10. And I said,
No.
no. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. So yeah, it's
So I want to circle back around so we can get
that's just situational to me. So yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, yeah, there are some, like, to me, it's not so much about walking in front of or behind or whatever. It's in that very instance that you're talking about.
yeah.
It was the fact of which she was behind, he was in front, and she
Nobody else
reached
was
out.
around.
No, and she reached out and he like was like, no, thank you. And I'm
Yeah.
like, whether she would have been beside him or in front of him and reached behind him like, "Hey, take my
Either
hand."
way, this is not a
Mm-mm.
crowd reference.
No.
There is nobody around.
No.
It was simply, I just want to touch you,
Yeah,
which should be completely fine.
right.
And even if it's the fact that the man is wanting to not be seen in a relationship with someone, at the same time, this is, yes, in public, but zero persons were around.
Right.
Zero.
Yeah. Yep.
And y'all are wondering how the hell I saw this. I'm sure by me
Yeah.
saying that there are zero persons around. Well, that's
Yeah.
none of your business.
Right. We have ways.
But there are zero people. Like, to me, that
Yeah.
doesn't scream relationship.
No.
That doesn't
And
scream.
and so in even for like this and the other instance that you're talking about, like carrying your own shit, like there were tons of times where I had like legit, not even just my shit, but like his shit as well. And so, like in other relationships. And so, like in our relationship now, when we leave a hotel room, because what we do, we go out and we stay places.
Yeah.
I stay in the room and you truck all of our stuff downstairs. you start the vehicle, whatever we need to do, and then you come back up and you say, "Honey, are you almost ready yet?" So while I'm getting ready and I'm finishing wrapping up whatever I need to do, you're taking
Not even that. So we'll go to the grocery store, but this is me. This is my beliefs. These are my morals. These are my values, and this is a standard that I hold myself to.
Mhm. And what I'm getting at is it's like, while I am, finishing up getting ready, you're like, "Okay, what can I pack up for you? What do you need left?" Like, and so then you're trying to pack in the very beginning, I found it very stressful that you did this because I felt like you were trying to rush me.
No, not at all.
And that's not at all what you were trying to do, and so it took me a while to adjust to this because I was just like, "Oh my god, he just wants me to hurry, never mind, I'll just get ready later." But that was a response to previous behavior that I've been treated to,
Yeah,
not this, and so now it's like, "Oh, no, he just wants to take everything down to the truck, it's fine." Like, and then whatever I'm
I just don't like. So for me, there's always something left behind, and if I can do things prior to, and we don't have to go back to the house 15 times because we left 15 things behind.
Yeah,
So I've already loaded all of the stuff up,
yeah.
and then I can go sit on the couch while you get ready.
Mhm.
And we don't have to rush to load everything up.
Mm-mm.
Nor do I put the burden on you to load your own stuff up in the vehicle.
No,
The vehicle's
and
packed. I even put things on your side of the truck, like
yes.
all of the stuff that I know that you're going to want, whether it's a
Mhm,
drink, a snack,
mhm.
whatever,
My
a
crochet
pillow,
stuff, yeah.
like things. If we're going on a road trip, things for you to do in the front seat, like you said, your crochet stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
Again, these are my personal morals, beliefs, values
Right.
for
To the
myself.
to the point of like you are and to the point of so much of like you have you make sure the kids have their own backpack packed, like for in the truck or the diaper bag packed. Like it's not left for me to get the children ready. And it's not left for that I have to get up early, get the children ready so that I can get myself ready and then you get yourself ready. That's not the case. Like the children are equally our responsibility to get ready.
Yeah.
And I don't believe enough I believe that there's not enough relationships that have that mindset. It's always on the woman, and the woman has the most stress of making sure and what does he do? He gets up, packs his own bag, and he's good to go. But the woman, what she's done, she's packed everybody else's bags. She's cleaned the house. She's made arrangements for the dog. She's done all of this other stuff just so that you guys can leave to go out of town. And I'm like, that is so not fair.
That I don't
How is
use not
that
fair. There's no I in team.
there's not. And how is that relaxing for her? It's not.
Oh, but I'm paying for everything.
Fuck that. I'd much rather stay home because that's the same shit in a different place. No, thank you.
Exactly. I was just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I know. I got a little spicy on
I know I like it.
that. So, but
Not that I'm not an ass kisser. I'm not a brown noser. I'm not. That's not what I'm getting at either. Is like I'm not doing this for brownie points or an expectation behind it. It's just who I am,
which is why our relationship is a success as it is because
and I don't expect or allow. And I hate using the word allow
yeah.
because it's not something. It's really not a word that I like at all, especially in a relationship. It's just
No.
not a word that I like. But it's not
No.
that I allow laziness by anybody in our household. Like, no, you're not going to sit around whenever there's shit that can be done.
Right.
There's always something that can be done. If you're coming to me, I'm bored, dude. At least 5 things I could tell you that you could do for yourself right now.
You can go clean the garage. You
For your no, even individually for yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Like you can find something for yourself to keep yourself busy.
Uh-huh.
Each and every individual person in
Yep.
this home,
Yep.
I I personally have given things to them for them to keep themselves busy that they enjoy doing.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree.
Back to this marriage thing though.
Yeah.
That was on topic. Sorry. I know we veer off quite a bit, but it
We do.
makes us, man,
It
what
is
we,
what, yeah, it is what we are.
so the woman's perspective
Yes.
on this particular matter.
Yep.
Where's your head at?
And I'm sorry, I've just been flat out exhausted recently.
I don't know what this is we've got, and here we go, squirrel nut again. But
I know.
it's a like,
By the time
it's a COVID flu. Fuck you.
variant,
I don't care what it is. And I don't know. It's
I don't
really
know.
weird.
It is weird.
It's
But by the time they name whatever this new virus is, we will have already had it.
we have already had it, and it'll
Yeah.
already pass, and we might even have it for a second time by the time
Right.
it gets a name. But it
Yep.
comes with fevers, nausea, explosive diarrhea,
Vomiting, headache,
yeah,
and then
the ability to not be able to move, body aches like crazy,
in the amount
like
of,
worse than flu body aches.
yeah, worse than COVID body aches too. It was nuts.
A little touch of the like, yeah, obviously the non-breathing because of the sinus drainage, but the heaviness in the chest part,
That was
not
weird.
breathing, like that's the COVID part of it. That's
That's
kind of
odd.
weird.
Yeah. Yeah. Because Miles started to destat. He was in the 90, he was 95%, and he was retracting in his lungs because he started breathing with
Yeah.
his diaphragm, which was not good, which is when I woke you up. But then you were so out of it, you were very confused. And so I was trying
We've all been in that state. In this is just like what?
Yeah.
And
I'm not-
and that lasts for a couple of days.
It does.
Like
I'm barely
it's just
coming
like,
out of it now.
What?
I know I fell asleep and slept really good last night, and I still feel like I could go lay down and sleep right now.
Yeah,
Like, and I just don't
just
feel.
completely zapped.
Oh God, yeah, it's been bad.
And yeah, we have a lot of shit going on. And yes, we have days that we are completely zapped. And we'll take another day out and we'll just pick. We could be in the middle of the week and pick a day and just, take it
yeah,
because we have put ourselves in the position to
to
do
do
so.
so, yeah.
But it has been several days back, and I'm not 2 or 3. This is 5 or 6 consecutive days of ugh.
Yeah, it's been not so good.
Mornings are worse.
Yeah.
Once I can get my body moving,
Afternoons for me are harder than mornings.
and then it depends on what time of the afternoon because I feel like
2:30
like
are pretty
for the
good.
for the kids that are in the sports right now, that it's been beneficial to them to go sweat it out.
Oh yeah,
And so the I don't want to go to practice is not the conversation. We're going to go to practice because even me going to sit and watch helps me like get my blood moving. Let's go. I'll go
Yeah.
sweat it out.
yeah,
Like I feel like I need that too. Like whatever the hell it's going to take to get this out of my system, please
yeah.
help.
Yeah, I know. I wish I could make this virus pass by fast. Because here's the thing: is I took 2 of them to the doctor.
Yeah.
One of them, when they were like, yes, he's got ear infection, which I think in that small of a child, when you've got that much drainage, it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
He had double ear infection, upper respiratory infection. And I'm pretty sure like upper respiratory infection covers like the sinuses and all that, because he definitely had green snot and just miserable. And then he definitely had some lung issues. His cough was clear.
Yeah.
But you could definitely tell he was having some restrictive breathing, especially with the O2 stats being 95 and the retracting of the lungs when he was breathing. I used to be a X-ray technician and a phlebotomist for urgent care and a lab technician.
A phlebotomist. What does a
Yeah.
phlebotomist in urgent care do? Does that just take blood?
Yeah. So I was a lab tech. So I would do all the fluid, like I would do all the lab tests. Like I could go in and draw your blood and then do your CBC and
So you do like the shaking of all of the blood and then test it.
Yeah, centrifuge is what it's called. You centrifuge the blood and separates it, and then
She knows all the technical terminology.
and then you test it. And some of the tests you could do in house and calibrate the machine, especially the one that did the CBC machine.
You had to calibrate the machine.
Yeah, there's a certain procedure that you do to calibrate it and all that good stuff.
Interesting. Did not know that.
Yep. So, and it has to be calibrated every 30 days, and not
This is just completely blocking my face. I don't
not
like it.
30 calendar days, but 30 actual like procedure days. So it changes. But yeah, so that's why I know terms and things to look for. And yeah, because I was in urgent care for so long and saw so many little teeny tiny babies that were just so not happy.
So I'm gonna bring you back into it. In a woman's perspective,
Do it.
where are we at?
The women's perspective is that for a while, this is my thought process on it, and I absolutely could be wrong. But this is just me and how eventually I would start to look at it. Well, maybe if I meet his needs enough, he'll want me. Maybe if I do enough of this, he'll want me. Maybe if I do this, he'll finally want to marry me. Maybe if I do enough of this, he'll ask me to marry him. Maybe I just need to pick the kids up. Like you're constantly looking for the place of which you're trying
What's
to fulfill.
missing?
Yeah, you're constantly looking for like maybe if I do enough of this, maybe if I.
There's a
And
word for
so
that. What is it? I guess I don't know. I had it and then I
it's not
lost it.
manipulation. I don't think that's the
No,
word.
I was thinking there's a word for what's going on, and I had it and I
Yeah,
lost it.
it's
Self
okay.
gratification.
Oh yeah. So it's like, maybe if I do enough of this that he's going to want me and that, I'll be enough wife material for him and he'll ask me to marry him. So ultimately, eventually that's going to happen. And I think that reaching that 2 to 3 year mark, I'm sure that's feeling is in there of like, why am I not enough? Like, I don't understand. I'm enough in all these other instances, picking up your children, having sex with you whenever it is that you want, um, taking care of your dog, grocery shopping, planning meals. Like, I'm enough of you for you in all of these other instances,
Yeah.
but I am not enough for this particular instance. I don't understand. And I think that it's like, and especially like once you move in together, that really is going to magnify.
So this couple stayed apart. I'll shed some light on that. This couple in their first, I would say, their first year of being together, they, yeah, they were together. Yes, they put their kids together. They made the introduction between the kids. They had a full blown relationship going on. They did not live together for the first year, which I'm not shedding any like anything negative on, but for the entire first year, they did not live together. It wasn't until year 2 that we have brought in, you know, the fact to coexist in the same household. So, and I'm not saying they didn't stay at each other's houses because I'm sure that that was a thing. I'm sure that one person went one way and the other person, I'm sure that went vice versa, right? So, because that was there and they both stayed at each other's homes, I can still appreciate the fact that they did that. They they put in the work into the relationship that they stayed in each other's homes together with the children. So, living together full time or not over year 1, I don't think plays a role into this instance. Now that we're into year 2, and I'm going to jump into year 2 now.
Yeah.
The and it took even a little bit into year 2 for the living situation to change.
Yeah.
Um, but now they're
But
living together.
it also makes you wonder and question too, what was the reasoning for the integration of homes? Was it convenience? Was it cost of living? Like what was the true reasoning for joining homes because of the relationship, or was it driven by money? Like it really just makes you question.
Well, I don't know. Like, let's back up for a minute. I mean, let's go to our relationship.
Mhm.
So, you and I met.
Yes.
And then how long was it before we moved in with each other?
Probably a lot shorter than most people would have liked.
I don't care what anybody likes, by the way.
So we met.
When you all right,
So 4 months, 5 months, 4 months, 5 months, somewhere in there.
before we moved in with
Yeah.
each other?
Yeah.
I'm shitty with timelines.
Yeah. 4 or 5 months. I think it was at the 5-month mark.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we still stayed at each other's place.
Yes.
So I'm not giving any different context
No.
than what
And we
happened
were in
over
our
a longer period of time. And I'm not dissing the fact of the time frame by any means. However long it takes to move in with one another, you know, and every relationship's different and every scenario is going to be different because every single person is different.
absolutely.
Every single relationship is different.
Absolutely.
Every single time frame is going to be different for those relationships and what time frame they think is appropriate for themselves,
Mhm.
their children, whatever.
Mhm.
But given the context and the fact that said couple that we're referring to in this conversation had already integrated this same period of time that we did,
Mhm.
as far as combining the children, staying at each other's houses,
Mhm.
whatever,
Mhm.
then why does it take 2 years to get there? And why has there not been conversation? And why does the female feel this way? And then why does the male feel like he can run all over this female or not? Like, or is
Yeah.
or
And
is
maybe
that
she
even something that is
and
flip flop?
yeah.
Like, is she doing the same thing to
Right.
trigger these same things?
Right.
I don't know. I don't know all of the details on the inside.
Yeah. I'm
I'm
just
just on
able
the
to
outside looking
I'm just
in.
on the outside going,
I just don't see a
mm,
whole lot. I
mm,
see a whole lot that doesn't add up.
right. And that's what I'm looking at too. And so that just makes me like, it just makes me ponder relationships. And like, I'm a people watcher. Like, I look from the outside and I watch
A lot of
people.
who doesn't?
Right. And so I watch people from the outside and I'm going, and so then I sit back and I think, and I'm like, hmm, I wonder, that's a long time to cohabitate together and not have a future together. Like, that's a lot of effort and a lot of,
Well, and
that's just a lot, especially if you got kids.
if you're dating, so here's another spin on this subject, right?
Okay.
So if you're dating
Mhm.
and both parties are dating actively,
Okay.
is it okay for them to have already introduced the children
If both parties are dating, what do you mean?
actively? They're
Oh, like,
not.
so if they're not exclusive.
Yeah.
I got you. No, I think that's a waste to the children. I think it's a waste to the children, and you're opening them up to something that's just not.
Is it not a waste to yourself as well?
What do you mean?
Like,
Dating multiple people?
no, the child part of this thing. Like, why are you going? Yeah, it's what's the word?
Detrimental.
That one. Detrimental to
How you
the
doing?
children. One. Well, what the fuck are you doing introducing your kids to something that you don't even feel is going to be any length of time?
Yeah. Well, and to that, like once you've introduced your kids to somebody, do you feel stuck because you've introduced them?
I think some people do.
Yeah. Because of the
At the same
stigma attached to
time,
it?
I think there are people that just simply don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I think there's that too. Absolutely, I think
And I
there's that
think they're
too.
reckless.
Yeah, I agree.
I think they're 100% reckless in the fact that they don't give a fuck
Mhm.
about their kids enough to expose them to something that they're not serious about.
Yeah. Mhm. I agree.
Again, my morals, beliefs.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a time and a place to be yourself. because you before you were a parent, you were you.
Yeah.
And if you are choosing to no longer cohabitate or partner with the person who is this baby's father or whatever, baby mama, baby daddy, whatever you want to call them, like you are still allowed to be you. You 100% are allowed to explore who you are as a person. But do I believe that your children need to be exposed to you exploring who you are as a person?
Hell to the
No,
no.
I don't believe that.
Well, what are your kids going to think about you? Like, are you even considering this? Are you putting your kids' thoughts
No.
into this? And because the answer is no, you're a very selfish person.
Yeah.
I'm not talking
I know you're not talking to me.
to you.
No, you're not.
I'm just talking about the situation. I know, but people tune in at different times, and that's why I think it's important to make references throughout the
Mhm.
conversation because people tune in and out whenever they're watching these.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's just it's a very I don't know. I it's very odd to me and it's very apparent that it's just a situationship. It's situational and maybe that's what both of them are looking for. I mean, maybe she's getting something out of it situationally and maybe he's getting something out of it situationally. Not to say that it's the same thing on both sides,
Yeah.
but it to me very I'm very aware of the fact that it looks like it's very situational, of way of which they flow together in public, the way of which it
It doesn't look like one person wants it that way, though. Honestly, like from the looks of it, one person wants something and the other person is very much not about it.
yeah. Yeah. So, I don't know. It's very
It's hard for me to watch
it is. Yeah.
just because of my own beliefs. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard for me to digest this
Yeah.
from an outside perspective
Right.
because of what my beliefs are.
Yeah. Yep.
It's truly hard.
Yeah. And then with me sending that message to you today about planning or booking our wedding, um, I don't necessarily know that I want like I said, I don't think I necessarily want to book, um I don't know. There's a lot of conversations. Really, I guess, really what I was getting at was that there's just still a lot of conversations that need to be had in regards to our wedding and what it is we want. Where do we want it? When do we want it? Do we want to have this other child first, or do we want to get married and then have this other child? Like, there's some things of which I need to have a sequence of events for, so that I know how to prepare for the next 5 years of our life.
Yeah.
And so really it was like, hey, in my head, I'm thinking I'm ready to book this wedding, but do you want to have a child first? Or, what type of wedding are we wanting? Your parents are getting older. Do we want to just elope? But then how do we make sure the kids get
So
there?
we've talked about
And
this, right?
like, yeah,
About as far as what the attendance is and what it looks like and who, what, when, where, why, how.
yeah,
And our wedding is a day.
one day. And usually the only thing that you
Our
walk.
marriage is our life.
Mhm.
It's our everyday.
Yes.
And so for me, the one day doesn't mean as much to me as the work that we're putting into the everyday.
Yeah, I agree.
Again, this is situational and for everybody else is like how they want to do things. And not well, I'm not giving marriage advice. Not trying to tell you that you need to do things our way or whatever. Do your own thing your way.
Hmm.
But my feelings are just that of what I said.
Yeah. And I was trying to add in there is yes, your marriage is one day, and usually the only thing you walk away with is your photographs. that you get to keep from your actual wedding day.
Yeah.
It's really
There,
it's the only
there's so much
key.
money spent on weddings.
Yes. And the wedding industry right now is on a downward decline.
Because of this topic.
They're expensive and it's on a downward decline. People are choosing to do backyard weddings, smaller weddings, almost like
Just
COVID
chill.
style.
They just because you're gonna go do this regardless. You have to go to the justice of the peace to get the freaking document.
Mhm.
And so you're gonna go there anyways.
Mhm.
The paper is literally the only thing that legally says that you're married.
Yeah.
Other than that, you're in a relationship. And I think a relationship, anything over a year, then again, these are my beliefs. Anything that is an exclusive relationship over a year long, or even over 6 months long, to me, you're married.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of feel like you need to be living together in order for it to feel like you're married.
Yeah, and I think at 6 months, you're if you're not talking about it or having those conversations, and granted, there are more than one couple that I know that have not lived together for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years of their relationship because of whatever circumstances they are, whether they're too young and they still live with mommy and daddy, or they're too old and still will live with mommy or daddy and or both. Like there are people that honestly probably just should not be out in society doing these things anyways.
Right.
I don't know. There's just a whole lot behind this
Yeah. And
conversation.
I think a lot of women too, this leads me to the whole nother, like my mind went down a different track of this, is it's like if you've got to convince this person to marry you, you're gonna also then have to convince them to be a parent. And you're gonna have to convince them to attend. You're gonna have to convince them to check in. You're gonna like it's just know that if you are having to convince somebody that you are worth engaging in a marriage with or getting engaged to, or you're trying to convince them into anything, you are always going to be in that place of convincing them to join you in wherever it is, convincing them to have friendships, convincing them to be a parent, convincing them to have a child, like whatever it is, it's always going to be talking them into whatever it is that you want. It's never going to be a conversation of, hey, I think I'm ready for this. That's good. I don't think I'm ready. I need to meet X, Y, and Z before I think I'm ready. You're never like, it's just always going to be that awkward place of having to convince them to be a parent. You're going to have to convince them to stop going out with the boys so that you can have help at night with the baby. You're going to have to convince them that
What
you're
about going out with the girls?
okay. Uh, yeah.
I want to throw that out there
Yeah.
because I don't think that it's just a man thing. Honestly, I think, and because of what I've seen, I think there are more and more women, honestly, that are creating these things to happen in today's society than it is necessarily the man. And
Yeah.
I'll give my perspective on this as well.
Mm.
The reason why I think that this is happening. The women are starting to initiate things as far as divorce goes. And sorry, I need to switch cameras. Um, the women are starting to more initiate divorce conversations, whereas it had been the man majority
Right.
in the past because they are now we are now living in a society that is so much polar opposite of what it used to be.
Hmm.
And women are I have to reference this and it makes me uncomfortable to reference because I've done so much research on it and you and I have done research on it. Women were essentially slaves.
Yes. Up until the 1960s.
Yeah, which those of you
It's
that
not that
don't
long
know
ago.
that should have a little history lesson. Even at our age,
Yeah.
we continue to learn new things because
Yeah.
we may have been taught this shit in school, but were you paying attention?
I don't think we were taught like, I think we were taught the women's rights movements, but we didn't know what it meant. I didn't know
I
what it
didn't,
meant until we did the research to find out about
and
bank accounts and,
it
like,
that
credit
could have
cards and
even
all that
been
other
because
shit.
of the teacher was a man.
Right?
Honestly,
Yeah.
like there are so many different things that I look back on that I'm going, what the fuck?
Yeah. Sorry, you were touching me and then I moved my arm and it wasn't because I wasn't
And
enjoying you.
why is it that we weren't taught certain things? What? Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. But where I was heading with this is women are speaking up and speaking out because they have a voice now and
Mhm.
they're able to.
Mhm.
And the reason for, in my opinion, divorce rates being so high versus what they were 20, 30, 40 years ago, there wasn't a place for a woman to speak up. There wasn't.
There was nowhere for us to go. There was no place for us to be heard.
I
And it
mean,
was and even and I want it to
there's
I want this to be very clear.
there wasn't even a there wasn't even a smidget of the thought of having a female as a vice president.
No. But I also want to make this very clear that the things of which women were experiencing today, we were still experiencing then. We were just not allowed or accepted in the fact that we weren't going to tolerate them. Women were expected to be quiet and to not talk about it. And that if you didn't like what was happening in your marriage, too fucking tough shit, you made the choice and decision to get married. So you had to fucking deal with whatever it is he was going to make you deal with. And I say, fuck that.
Which could
And
have
that
been anything all the way
honestly,
up to rape.
yes,
And rape and marriages
is a thing.
exist
It does.
today.
It absolutely does. I can't remember what year that um
If you have to tell your partner no, you don't have to. You can consent, but if you do not consent to the fact that you want to have any sort of sexual intercourse with your partner, you should be able to say no. And that's it. And the respect level should be there to go, okay, understand that you're not in a place or mindset or whatever's going on, it maybe don't feel good, whatever. That should be 100% respected. And back then, it
did you
was
know
not even it was not a topic of discussion. It was not a choice.
no.
It was nothing. You're going to do this, whether you like it or not. I think it's fucking disgusting.
So marital rape or spousal rape is illegal in every state, but it's only been that way since 1993.
Again, I believe that this is fucking disgusting.
Agreed. Yeah. Yep. But so this movement started in 1976 to have marital rape declared illegal and a crime, but it wasn't in every state until 1993. So I don't know what state joined the
All right.
list last.
Well, look this up.
Hmm.
When did rape become an actual act of crime? Whether in a marriage or not, when was rape adopted into an act of crime?
I'm looking it up.
And I know these are some hairy topics,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And I don't care about whatever hate mail comes out of it, but at the same time, I believe this needs to be talked about. Nobody talks about this kind of shit, honestly. And why is everything swept under the rug? Like, how many?
Wow, it was North Carolina became the last state to outlaw marital rape in 1993. Took you guys until 1993 to say, "Oh, sorry,
Oh, sure.
That's fucked up. The first state was South Dakota in 1975. Sorry.
You don't have to apologize. Understand what open up the internet does? Takes you
Yeah,
down all these little
it
rabbit
really
trails.
does, especially Wikipedia. It doesn't really go into. It says 1563. Yeah, it says 1563 is when.
1563.
Yeah,
I don't buy that. I don't buy that, and here's why.
it wasn't until 1793 that women could get married without parental consent.
Say the year one more time.
1793.
1793. You had to get your parents' consent to
At
get
any age. At any age.
Doesn't matter if you're 20 or 50,
You had to get your parents' consent.
but you could also get married at 12.
Yeah, so long as your parents said yes.
So, what is it now? Can a parent give consent now at any age?
Yeah, your parents can give consent in some states, I think. I don't know.
At any age? So, if you're
I
like
think-
12,
I think that's a weird
I think that's a very weird conversation. I want to come
Conversation.
back to that.
Huh?
I would like to come back to that and kind of dive into it later
Ugh.
because I think it's, I think that's something that needs to be spoken about
Mhm.
that I think nobody probably will speak about.
Right.
And I'm willing to speak about anything. I really just honestly
I want to
don't
be
give a shit.
educated by whatever I speak on,
Yeah.
which is why
That's why I said let's come back to it.
you know, all of this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't really give a very deep, you know.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's a huge history on if anybody is curious, there's actually there's very many law cases, and I will probably go back and read the actual trial notes and stuff in here and verdicts. It's one of the weird things.
Yeah, you really like doing this.
It's
It's not a weird thing. Actually, it's really not. You just want to be educated on it.
I do, which is also why I read medical journals.
Because in family court, they actually reference back to all of these cases.
Yes.
And not even just family court, criminal court, whatever it is.
Mhm.
If you're in a courtroom, they're going to go, your attorney might reference case. Well, back in 1924,
Whatever
they
this
adopted
judge
blah,
ruled,
blah, blah.
judge ruled this way on
Well,
this
what
case.
about this case?
Yeah.
And that's how just criminal or civil, whatever courtroom, that's how they act. To me, if we're going to talk about the courtroom, that is a whole fucked up situation to go back and reference something from 100 years ago and let it be a viable statement in your case. Let's talk about something that happened last year, 5 years ago, 10 years ago max, because that is in our fucking lifetime.
Yeah. Why are you referencing something that's not in my lifetime?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's maybe even an interesting law to bring up, is it's like you're not even allowed to reference court cases that aren't in the person's lifetime that's on trial. So
Absolutely
that's
a freaking, that should be a factual piece of evidence that is brought in.
Right. So like whether you're in trial at 25 or you're in trial at 35, if that evidence or case or whatever you're trying to bring up can't be more than how old you are. Like,
I think absolutely that should be something that is brought into Senate, voted on, voted in, whatever it is.
yeah,
Absolutely.
I think it's an interesting perspective on law.
I think it should be that way. There are too many cases that are put into to actual factual bullshit.
Yeah.
That have nothing to do with what is even relatable to your crime or offense or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
That was from 400 years ago, 200 years, 100 years ago, 20 years ago, 50 years ago, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But yet they want to, the defense, and this is always the defense, right? Bringing these things up. It should be an objection, Your Honor, that has nothing to do with this because it is 10 years, 20 years, whatever they come up with, right?
Mhm.
It's not even in this person's lifetime.
Yeah.
How are they supposed to know? How are they supposed to be educated on something law wise they should not be doing of a law that happened 4, 5, 600, 1,000 years ago?
I think the laws, because their laws have been written, like, I think because then that gets really tricky.
Well, I
The
think that a lot
reference,
of that's changing right now. I
it
think that's a
is.
big uproar in a lot of things that are happening in Senate and in government as well.
Yeah. What I was getting at was actual like trial case reference, because there are trial case references in your trial that they will bring up as far as rulings and evidence entries in the
Absolutely.
way that I'm talking about. They should not be allowed to reference a trial reference or a judge ruling for things that are not within your 25 years or your 35 years of life. Like, laws were created many, many years ago, like the Constitution, like that. That
Yes.
would never be able to,
Yeah, but they're even changing that shit out. Like, all right. And I hate talking about politics. But here we are.
we
Why
got
in the fuck are we taking down statues and monuments? This shit pisses me off, honestly. It just gets under my skin so much because if we're going to be a country founded on these things, like, and I'm not talking about laws at this point, I'm now talking about shit that our country was founded upon. And then laws were created after that.
right to that. Once light has also been shed on what some of these people did and have done, is not anything that our nation stands for now.
No, it's not.
And so I
No,
agree.
we live in a nation that is not the land of the free, nor the home of. I'm not going to say the home of the brave because we have very brave people that go
Yes.
and fight for other countries, not necessarily even our own country.
I'm talking about the fact that it's like these people claimed to be and do very constitutional things, but then the more dug into history we go, we find out that they are not constitutional people. They are not godly
All of
people.
them.
They are not.
Every fucking politician is a crook.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So yes, there's a part of me that's like, leave the statues alone, but then there's also a part of me that's like,
Leave them in place.
why have we idolized these people with, when then once again we go in and we do the research and we're like, this was a horrible human being. Horrible. We only chose to read and believe the part of the history that we wanted to read and believe. When you pull the sheet back and you reveal the entire fucking history, yes, take the goddamn statue down.
But yeah.
That's what I'm getting at. Is like, I see both sides of this.
But
And
at the time that those things were okay. At the time, that was law. At the time, that was how you did things.
Yeah. But I
And
also,
that's why I brought up what I brought up about, let's talk about what's happened in the past decade or the past 10 decades,
right.
not 500 years.
Right.
I'm all about
I don't.
I'm willing to even, let's say, let's do 100-year thing, right? Fine. But let's not reference something from 1773. Dude, fuck off.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just,
Not that I'm not saying that those things shouldn't be laws, because that's how laws are wrote, right?
right.
And if you broke a law, there's going to be a consequence. I don't think the consequence should be so severe to something that is so minor at the same time.
Right.
At the same time, I think the consequence should be more severe on things that are so
More.
that some people say that are so minor.
Right. I agree. I agree to that. And I also agree to the fact that it's like, look, I understand that we want to take down these statues who are idolizing people who are disgusting human beings, because we wouldn't allow a current statue to stay up of someone who we found out to be a disgusting human being. So just because they took part in our history does not mean they need to be idolized in a statue. So you can't take away the history. You can't rewrite the history. History is history.
Oh, look.
But I don't believe that we need to continue to idolize these people who, once the light is fully shined and turned on, that they are not the best. Because then we are teaching our children that only
We colonize this country, though, and I'm not saying we as we did it. Like, obviously,
you're talking about just history as we in general.
yeah.
Got it.
So we decided that we, whoever we are, right, Pilgrims, Indians, whatever the fuck, and even if all of those situations stayed in place, like, why did the Indians get so much of their land taken away? Why, if this was their land, why are we able, as the white man, why are we able to take so much away from them without breaking laws? Like, they had laws, they were here first. This is their shit. But then we get to come in and step all over it and say, "Oh no, this is fucking mine now."
Yeah. There's a lot
Like,
of
there's just
history
so much
that
shit that you
yeah.
you could go back on.
Oh, absolutely.
And people are going back on, and this is what I'm getting at. People are going back on now and deciding, "Oh, well, we're going to take this statue down." Why don't you go
Why?
even a little bit further than that?
You get back some land, get back some policy, get back something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
There was so much shit taken from so many different people that belonged to no one,
But belong to someone.
but yeah,
Yeah.
this is land that we live off of. Like, and for everybody that lives in the United States, and everybody listening as well, I'm not trying to sway you one way or another.
Right.
I'm really not. This is just,
These are just questions you
these
have
are
in your own
topic-
head.
Yeah, these are topics that are sparking, like, just spontaneously right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we
Like, I haven't even preconceived anything. We started this conversation
with
with
women's rights.
not even with that. We started this with how we met and the proposal, and you asking this morning about when can we plan a wedding, and then here we are talking about land from Indians. And I'm not laughing to degrade the conversation. It's just funny to me how our minds flip flop and go into something even in an hour's worth of time. Like, we got way off on a whole nother trail, but this is also something that I didn't know that I was passionate about until now. So I'm making mental notes over here to go back and actually do research on, because I'm very much a person that I'm interested in what is sparking in my brain right now.
Right.
So now I'm going to have answers.
Right. I'm very interested to go back. Well, and here's the other deal. Like, the government's going in and reversing rulings, right? Like Roe versus Wade. They went and overturned that.
All the time.
Yeah. So what is stopping the government from going, "Oh, hey, rape is no longer a crime"? What's changed? What is stopping them from saying that? What's stopping the government from overturning that ruling? There's nothing stopping somebody from going, "Yeah, that I really don't want that to be a crime anymore," and then getting enough people behind that movement and making them want to make a change. There's nothing stopping them. That's what blows my mind. Is it's like, yeah, that something can be considered a crime or not a crime, and now it's a crime because something got overruled by a judge or by whoever. I'm not very political as far as like the Congress and all that stuff and under that part of that understanding, but that's a very valid question of mine. Is it's like, what is stopping someone or the government from being like, "Yep, that's no longer a crime"? I mean, it's no different than the whole marijuana debate, right? Like, "Oh, nope, no longer illegal." It's just, it's very intriguing to me the way that people can just, the elitists can get together and have a conversation and just decide that they get to just decide for us. And then we are psyched and made to believe and manipulated to believe that our vote matters in deciding with them when really it's already been decided for us. It's just a manipulation factor of getting them to make us believe that we have a say so. We don't have a fucking say so. We haven't. And so here we were getting off tangent and off subject. So then let me fill you in on the second part of my thought process on the way back. So the way there, I was like, oh, let's plan a wedding because I want a tasting. I would want to taste wedding cake. And then on the way back, it was my thought process because I am such a large, not to like toot my own horn, but I'm such a large public figure. At least in my eyes, in my aspect, I feel like I'm a pretty large public figure in what it is that I do, and I have a
Yeah.
soapbox to stand on. Why the fuck have we not had a white, or not a white, but because that was my mindset was like, we've had so many fucking old ass fucking white men as president. We've had one African American. I think that's the correct term. I apologize if it's not. Where the fuck is the woman president? I don't
It's
care
coming.
what color she is, but where the fuck is she at?
It's coming.
Like, I am irritated. Like,
It's coming,
so
but
fucking
she hasn't
irritated.
stood up yet. Like, she hasn't stood up. But there are women politicians, right?
Absolutely.
There are women that I believe want a shot at this.
Yeah.
And even in my mind, and
I think it'd be cool as hell if I ran for president.
and maybe you will.
Just saying.
There is a process of which you have to get to
You have to play the politic game. Like, you have to hold so many different offices and
but
stuff.
at the same time,
I haven't even done
I want to so I've been thinking about this a lot, actually. This whole conversation right now.
Yeah.
I've put a lot of thought into.
The women.
No,
women
the
president?
presidential part of it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Have you seen the guy? Let me stop you before that. Have you seen the guy who's passing out the stickers that says "I'm voting for whoever's younger"? They're sick and tired of a fucking old ass geezer running the country.
I don't care how old you are.
I do. I care.
I don't. I care how much knowledge you have about.
Who cares how much knowledge you have if you don't have the mental capabilities
I'm about to tell you why.
If you don't have the mental capabilities to actually like use it, because I guarantee you, if you ask Mr. Brandon,
I'm about to tell you.
Hang on. Let me finish my tangent.
Okay.
If you ask Mr. Brandon how does Snapchat work and why does AI matter, and if you actually asked him about shit that's fucking relevant today, he wouldn't have a goddamn clue. Continue.
I'm glad you said those things before I spoke, actually.
Why?
Because you don't have to be the president to run the country.
You don't.
You know who's running the country right now?
The person who owns X.
You're fucking damn straight.
Yeah. Yep.
You don't have to have politics to run the country.
No.
You don't have to have all of these people behind you to run the country.
No.
You don't even have to have money to run the country.
You just have to have a following.
You just need to be smarter than the people doing it.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think I'm smarter than the people doing it, but
because that person that you're talking about
mm-hmm.
is running the fucking country.
He's really smart.
And nobody, maybe some people have, but nobody has really in politics, I believe, taken a step back to look at that.
No.
This guy is a smart, he's very, very in tune. He's a genius. And I give him full fucking props. Because,
yeah,
quite honestly, he's taken an idea. He's created his own renewable energy source that already existed, mind you. We already had batteries. How long the fuck have we had batteries? Look that one up. How long have batteries been in existence?
I don't know. My viewpoint of him went a completely different way. And it's going to be, you're going to probably be very intrigued. The question that I just asked Google, but go ahead. Do you want me to tell you what
no,
question I just asked Google?
Well, I want the answer to how long have batteries been in existence?
Oh, okay. Let me open another window.
Because essentially, this guy has turned renewable energies into battery power stuff versus going to oil, gas, refineries, pollution. full green energy, and this guy is
1800.
pretty much running the fucking world.
1800.
Other than the fact that he needs an army and all of that stuff. But the army's built in because he has the government to rely on to perform all the dirty tasks that he doesn't need to touch because he's fucking smarter than that.
Well, did you
Again,
know?
this goes back to
Hang
mental
on.
capacity.
Did you even
This
know?
guy's a fucking genius.
Did you even know right now he is paying the internet bill for? Did you watch that news article?
No, I did not.
Okay, I gotta go. I've got to actually like pull up some things.
This guy's, I love this dude. Like, not like that, but I love the mental capacity that this person is blessed with. And I think there are so many more people out there. And I can almost guarantee you that, hang on, please. I can almost guarantee you that there are more women that have this mental capacity than there are men.
Yes. I always say vaginas are for details.
What kind of details?
I've always it's if you look at
If you look at the vagina, it's got a lot of detail.
Honestly, but in general, if you have a vagina, it's like you're the detail keeper. Like you have at least 27 tasks running, and you know the status of every single one of them, and you are responsible for keeping and handling every single one of those tasks.
I don't know if you guys can see, but my face is as bright as the wall.
Why? Because I
I
said
know.
vagina?
Yeah.
It's true though. I believe that because women are just meant to be detail keepers, and it's just one of those things that men just take for granted. The fact that we are so detail oriented and task organizers.
I don't take it for granted whatsoever.
Yeah. So here we go. So Elon Musk has become an arbiter of the Ukraine war.
Let me see
Elon Musk's Starlink satellites are key to providing internet to Ukraine in the war with Russia. So Elon Musk is given the most influence for Ukraine. Elon Musk has given the most influence to that war.
In what way?
The fact that he provides the internet and has footed the internet bill for the entire fucking country to participate in war.
He's provided the internet bill for Ukraine. Is
Yes.
that where he's from?
I don't know. That's where I don't know. But what is happening? I think they're doing dishes.
I think Elon has tapped into our internet signal.
No, Elon Musk Starlink satellites are key to providing
all right,
internet
so
to
let me
Ukraine
give some
in the war with Russia.
Okay. So
Giving Elon
hang on.
Musk the most influence in the war.
All right, so Starlink satellite has been around for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Starlink satellite is not just something Elon put up for
The war.
Ukraine
No.
or Russia or anybody else. Starlink satellite is a system that every government uses for satellite communications. Now, did Elon build Starlink? I don't believe so.
SpaceX moved to connect Ukraine to its Starlight internet network, allowing online
Starlight
access.
or Starlink?
Starlight is what it says.
Okay.
Satellite internet network. Okay,
so satellite-based internet, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
allowing online access without the need for fiber cable. So I think that's ultimately that was a fucking power play. That was a huge fucking power play that Elon gave to them. That was like, here, let me make it to where you guys don't ever have to worry about internet. That was a huge fucking power play because Russia wasn't able to be like, cut the fiber lines, because that's ultimately what happened. Elon made it to where he just went, sorry, motherfucker. You're gonna have internet,
so
that's huge.
And a lot of warfare. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. But a lot of warfare is intelligence driven.
Yes.
All right.
I mean, that's where the code talkers come from, right? It's intelligence.
I don't know. I can't speak on this 100%. I can only speak on what I think I know.
Here we go.
And-
Let me stop you there. So I know and I love war history and I
Yep.
love intelligence history and I watch a ton of documentaries as far as war goes in the history of the United States and stuff like that.
Yet you
So
won't want to watch a movie that involves war.
no, no, thank you. I want to watch the real thing, not that. And if this is a movie about like apocalyptic or like a future apocalyptic event that's going to happen, I'm good.
No, even Transformers you passed out on.
Yeah, I'm good.
Like
So
I like cool shit like that. Cool.
I'm
I
good.
like it.
Anyways, so basically what I was watching the other day was that it went back to basically each person, they would write a coded letter. And the coded letter, basically, they would write a letter that had a very generic tone to it. But then, depending upon whatever the code of the letter was like had either an F to where they would hold it up and to a flame, and the invisible ink would then be, ignited by the flame. So they would either need. It was really cool to
Okay.
watch,
Well,
but
hang on. I think you need to give context on this because our demographic doesn't understand holding up the flame behind the paper.
oh yeah, okay. So this goes back to like Civil War times, like when
Yes.
our
This
country
has
was
been happening for
years.
long fucking time.
Intelligence has always been the key to winning a war. That's know your
Yes.
enemy. Know your enemy. Study your enemy. Find out what makes them tick. Find out what makes them implode. Find out what makes their knee jerk. Find out what makes them have a reaction. You study your fucking enemy. That's where the
This
statement
needs to be gone into not just warfare, but your personal lives.
right.
I want to stress that.
Keep your friends closer, keep your enemies closer. Like you keep your enemies the closest, and that's where this comes from. And so basically, it was talking about like intelligence, but basically,
Strategize.
yeah, it went back to basically like each side who was passing a letter each had the same book, and the book where it referenced a line and a paragraph and all of this. And so then you would pull out the book, and then you would line, and that's where you would get the word for the code because each person had a book, a very nonchalant book, and that's where code writing started. Well, then you go to and I forget what war it was that we used code talkers in. And the code talkers were Native American, and that's one of the reasons we won the war. Like we had code talkers. And so like
But yet, what do we give them?
I'm not going into that aspect of
Okay,
it. I'm just going into the fact that intelligence is key. And if you're going to have a leg up, and the internet is a leg up, like there's so much that happens. Like you can fly drones, you can fly your just all kinds of stuff can just be. I saw it's pretty cool. There's just a lot that can happen internet wise with intelligence that you can seek. And so the Russia being like, we're going to cut off your internet to Ukraine, they were trying to think that was a fucking power play. Well, Elon with his capabilities was like, no problem. On.
Yep.
That's a huge power play. That's a big fucking thing. Did the United States government do that? No, they didn't. They did not turn on the internet for Ukraine. You know who did? Elon Musk.
Yeah. Dude, I give props to Elon.
Absolutely.
He's done a lot of things, and he's figured out that he doesn't need to be the president.
Nope. Nor does he want to be.
Why would you want to be? Why would you
then
want to reveal yourself?
Because, well, then you're controlled by the politics, right?
Yeah. Well, so that leads me into another question. Controlled by the politics or wanting to control the politics?
It depends on who you're taking money from.
I think there are certain people that want to enter into politics game for fame and glory. Although I will state this in that same sentence. Everybody that wants to enter this game of politics ends up with their ass burned by the time they get midway, halfway, all the way through it, whatever. You're opening up your entire livelihood to the entire nation for investigation.
Oh, yeah.
Because you want to throw your name out there.
Yeah.
Do I think that we've had certain presidents that I believe could be better and were good. I believe they were good, and I believe they could have been better. Had they just had better ethics, better morals, they could have been better.
Yeah.
Had they not done the shit that they'd done in the dark that they didn't want to bring to light, they could have been better.
Oh,
Had
bird.
they just done their fucking job, which a lot of them, I'm not even going to say a lot of them, a handful of them have tried to do the job as a president. And I
What?
believe that they took on the task because they wanted to make our country a better country and try to take it back to its founded reasons of why it was founded the way that it was. Do I believe in those things? I do believe in those things. But through that process of them trying, they got their ass fully exposed and handed to them. So
You just got to be able
you
to.
got to go back to that single one statement that I just made. Don't do shit in the dark that you don't want to be brought to light.
Well, and what I was going to say to that is you got to be ready to handle that shit when it comes to light. You got to be ready to own it. You got to be ready. Like, you
Well,
got to know that that shit's not going to stay in the dark.
You can own it. You can come out and say, I did do this.
Yeah.
I will pay the consequences. I did this shit.
You're going to get more from that than you're going to get more from saying, yes, I fucking did that. And yes, this is the reason why I did it. And I understand that there's a part of the nation that's not going to agree with what it is that I did, but I believed that I was right in this, or I believed I was wrong. Like, whatever it is, you need to fucking own whatever it is that you've done.
We've never talked so much fucking politics. We don't even talk about it in our relationship.
We don't. But
It's
here's the
crazy.
deal. We have enough respect for each other that even if we don't agree, we're going to be able to say, I can understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, but I don't think there's a conversation we've had that's off the table.
No.
Because we'll sit and listen to the conversation both ways.
Yes. Also, too, I want to let you know that the hard case is going to be showing up on Monday.
Don't tell everybody that I'm hacking our mail. By the hard case, she means me.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. What are you eating? Oh, you're
I-
slowly eating a piece of chocolate.
I am. Not that I need it.
Oh, man. So, yeah, we got off on a little rant there.
All right. So, back to my thing that I wanted to talk about Elon. Because this talks about his beliefs of school and education. I said, what is Elon Musk's view of school? In a candid interview, he expressed his belief college is primarily for fun and proving one's ability to complete tasks rather than being a source of genuine learning.
I agree.
He emphasized the importance of self-teaching, problem solving, and making education as engaging as a video game. I fucking agree.
I agree. I agree with both statements.
Mhm.
I had to listen and respond to those individually. Sorry.
Yep, I agree. I think that's why education is going to be changing.
I think education is going to change on many levels for many different reasons.
Yep.
One of the most top reasons for that is because teachers are underpaid for what they have to deal with.
Well, second to that is fucking student debt for college kids.
All right, so we can go into college, but I want to if we're going to talk about education, I want to start with the point of in which it starts.
Okay.
Do we believe that children should be amongst other children to be able to develop into people?
Yes.
I believe the same. Do we believe that children should be coexisting and know what it's like to go coexist with other personalities?
Yeah. I think that's necessary.
So what do you believe will happen if that is taken away?
I don't think it's going to be taken away. I don't think that you can take away unless you're going to go strictly robot
But you just
taught.
talked about it disappearing.
Yeah. I don't know. But what I'm getting at is like you can't take away and structure a child. But there are people out there who do this and I don't agree with it. But there are people, what I'm getting at is it's like, even if we decided to homeschool our children, we would still be in extracurricular activities. We would still play volleyball. We would still play baseball.
Oh,
We
yeah.
would still have those things. And as a homeschool network, we would still be either one part of a co-op where we can't teach, we would have somebody teach, or we would have some type of, because you still got to meet your PE requirements. So they've got extracurricular PEs for your
They do.
homeschool group. Like, their children who are homeschooled are so much more well-rounded, I believe, than your school-based education kids. You know why? Because they weren't forced to sit in a classroom for 12 hours or however many hours a day.
I have a different perspective on that,
All right,
but I'll
go
let
ahead.
you finish.
No, go ahead.
No, I want you to finish.
No, I believe that children who are homeschooled are more well-rounded. They're able to have adult conversations. They understand intellectually on a higher level. I believe that they are like, "Oh, this is what my dad does for a living. This is what it means to make a dollar." They are the kids who are like, "Oh, I'm not going to ask for that because I know that my dad had to work 6 hours in order to afford that, because money and time is an exchange for money, and if I go and I ask for a Lego set, that means my dad had to work 12 hours to provide for that Lego set." I'm using just way exaggerated numbers.
No, you're not.
But I'm getting kids to understand that, like, oh, my dad went to go buy a new vehicle, but now that means that, X amount of dollars or X amount of hours of his paycheck every month right off the bat is to pay. Like, kids who are homeschooled have so much more fucking understanding of that than the kids who are indoctrined in the public school system.
Okay.
And so, regardless, everybody's parental and adults, our personalities are different. Children's personalities are different, whatever. But children can be exposed to personalities on many, many different levels, on many, many different things. And so long as you are not locking your child away in a room, which I know has happened to children and especially
It
with the
happens.
stories that I watch on TikTok
It's not happened.
people,
It's happened.
right?
It happens.
Yeah, to people, on TikTok. I'm just saying that it's like, yeah, your kids are not, homeschool is not evil. I feel like it's
Homeschool's not
better.
evil. The way in which homeschool is done can be evil.
Agreed.
So that's more of what I was referring to. The way in which it can be delivered is the evil part.
Yeah.
So what I'm referring to is that I think on bare minimum you should start, because kids are sponges
Yeah.
into a certain age.
Can I have the Altoids or behind the clock?
Sure. Kids are sponges until a certain age, and then there's a cutoff to certain things.
Yeah.
And their little brains are trying to just soak up every piece of thing that you're, and this is on average, right? Not there are children that are way up here, there are children that are in the middle, and there are children that are way down here in their learning abilities and their
Yes.
ways of learning and how they learn.
Yep.
So to that, there there are just so many different dynamics in between here and here, in which that sponge is actually soaking all of the information in.
Yep.
I'm not saying that after you're here that you're not going to continue to learn as an adult, because I believe that is all about perspective and what you want for yourself individually. You got, as an adult, you have to want more
Yeah.
in order to learn more.
Right.
So that's not what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is I believe my beliefs are that our children will not have the abilities or capabilities to co-create, coexist, whatever you want to call it, on whatever level, unless they have started their little small journey of life, their smallest journey of life, in a world surrounded around them without just their home.
I disagree.
If all they know is their home and they haven't been exposed to, for instance, germs.
Mm-hmm.
How are they going to build up a tolerance on germs?
There's a level of homeschool that you've got to, if you're going to homeschool, there's a level of which you've got to expose them to the outside world.
I
Like,
wanna
if
talk
it's going
about
to be
that
done
as well.
correctly, if homeschool is going to be done correctly, and people who are listening can't see my air quotes correctly, I believe that I think it's completely flipped backwards. I think that it's like, if you're going to homeschool, do it up until high school years and then put them into high school, because then you have done nothing but build this amazing fucking foundation for them. And then you send them into the corrupt high school where they can buy pot in the bathroom and vapes in the bathroom, and they're skipping school and getting high in the bathroom
Fentanyl, whatever
and
it is.
fentanyl, whatever the fuck it is, because you know it's in the news, and especially in the Plano ISD
And it's
district
not
in our
just in the
area.
news, it's in every damn school. You're naive to think that this shit is not in school. There are 3rd and 4th graders that are doing drugs at school. It's asinine. It's asinine to think about.
Yeah. That's what I'm getting
But
at.
it's reality.
That's what I'm getting at. Is it's like, yes, I
If
understand
it's
where you're
done
coming.
correctly, and you're talking about doing it the correct way, all right? I'm talking about parents that are not doing the work to put in the mind, thought, and the efforts around homeschool.
Yeah.
And I think,
And this brings up another topic for me that I like, even today at the birthday party, I was even like, I think we might homeschool Miles.
maybe.
At least, like, because ultimately, like, what is it at school that they're learning? What is it?
Well, I think
They're learning to take a test. They're being graded on a fucking test.
here's what I'm thinking. By the time Miles is ready for school, I think we're already there.
That's also, that was the other, that was the second half of that conversation that I had.
Unfortunately, I think that we're already there.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about this because I have personal experience on what I want to talk about. So there are the children that don't have, well, children in general don't have the ability to make the choice if they get homeschooled or not.
Right.
It's the parent's choice, right?
Right.
But to that, there are different ways of homeschooling.
There are.
And that is more of what I want to talk about for a minute.
Oh, okay.
Is the fact that there are different ways of doing this in order to be more in tune with society and what your children actually need out of the homeschool part of things, if that is the route that you're going to go.
Right.
And if you also believe that this is the route that our nation is going in, or your county is going in, or your state is going in, or whatever the case may be. But whenever I was growing up as a child, it was never even brought up in my household for homeschooling.
No.
However, it was in my family that this was being done on, and I'm sorry if you're watching this, but I'm not at the same time. Homeschooling was going on with my cousins on a Christian level, in which their lives were sheltered. And I may not be speaking, this is why I want to apologize. This is my apology. I don't know this 100% because I wasn't there. I'm an adult now. I wasn't then. I only knew what I saw then, and I only know what I know now because I'm not privy to any other information other than what I saw then as a child.
Right.
All right. So from what I saw outside looking in, is these children, from my understanding, didn't get to coexist with other children. They were not taken into public spaces. They were in pardon my language again, because these are Christian children, right?
Yeah.
They were in a fucking bubble.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pardon my language before I say it, but they were in a fucking bubble.
Yeah.
And the fucking bubble was created for them to be stuck into. And I know the parents And I know now that even looking back, if they were to look back, they probably would have done things different.
Right. Let me tell you that the bubbles don't work.
You cannot.
The bubbles don't work because ultimately your
You're
child
you're
is going to be an adult.
you're
You're
building something that is going to
it's
manifest into.
it's unrealistic.
It's going to manifest into hatred
Well, and here's the
and
deal.
resentment and rebellion.
Right. Here's the deal. Ultimately, there are, and I've seen bubbles on many, many different levels. I've seen bubbles on alienation. I've seen bubbles on cult levels as far as religion. I mean, there are bubbles created for just about every situation or scenario that has to do with life. What I'm telling you is they don't work because ultimately you either phase out of the belief, you phase out of being able under that reign or control, whether you age out or you just have a mind shift, God given moment one day, whatever you want to call it, they don't work. And social media is full of people's stories who burst these bubbles and move on. They don't work. If you think you are going to bubble contain your child, it is not going to work. If you think you are going to bubble contain someone in a religion, if you think you are going to bubble contain someone in a cult, if you bubble like a homeschool, whatever you think your little bubble is going to be, it is going to burst. Bubbles are not made, they are not a box. They do not have rigid corners. They are not sturdy. They are just that. They are a smooth surface that is going to be popped. It is going to collapse under enough pressure. That's what bubbles are.
Yeah.
And so, unlike a box or a triangle or anything like that, they're going to withstand a little bit of pressure. A bubble, not so much. So, when it comes to my mindset and track on all of this, is that you need to raise children who question authority. You need to raise children who are inquisitive about the world around them. You need to raise children who ask questions. You need to ask questions. You need to raise children who challenge. That's what you need to raise.
Can I make a reference?
Sure.
Anybody watch Young Sheldon?
Yeah.
Anybody? What's the other show called that he's in? Like as a grown up?
Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, Big Bang Theory.
Yes.
These are cases in point of like just TV shows, right?
Yeah.
So if you haven't watched them, go watch them.
Yeah. And think about it this way. Let me simplify it. Were you a child that your parents said because I said so?
Yeah.
And how are you raising your children now? And how often do we use that statement in this home? We do not.
We don't.
Because it's not valid.
And
it's not a valid enough reason. Because I said so is only authority driven.
Well, there's another statement.
Hmm.
I told you it was coming.
I told you so?
No, I told you it was coming. I told you. What was the other one? Just wait. You just wait.
Oh, just wait.
You just wait.
Yeah. Your parents loved to use that one when they were giving reference as far as like your children, like, oh yeah,
you were
go have,
well, you just wait.
Go have a child. You just wait. Like,
what am I waiting for?
I don't. The way.
What are you not revealing right now?
The way of which we use that statement with our children is I really can't explain it to you right now, but when you get older, I think you'll understand. That's how we say that.
There's an actual conversation behind it.
When you get older, I think you'll understand.
But our children ask another question past that, and we allow that ask of that question. It's not. We're not living in the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever,
60s, 50s,
where it's no, go in the other room. You don't have a voice. You don't get to talk. You are unseen. You're unvoiced.
Yep.
You're no.
Yeah.
But I don't believe that has stopped in a lot of families either.
No, I don't think it has either.
I would be lying to say that I think that does not exist.
Right.
Because I 100% believe that exists every day in life.
That's no different.
1,000%.
That's no different than us having the conversation with our kids of like, hey, we go to church. Do you believe what they're talking about? What don't you believe about it?
Yeah.
Like that's like I am not forcing religion on my children by no means. As a matter of fact, we have one out of the 5 that's like, and I'm like, cool, let's have this debate. Like, let's talk about it. I really want to hear your points of view. Like, and I am not trying to convince her. I am truly having this as a actual legitimate conversation with her because I want to hear why she thinks the way that she thinks.
Yeah.
And it's not my job as a parent to force a belief on her. My
No.
job as a parent is to open the door for her to investigate the
Which
belief.
is why we go to a non-denominational church.
And I know I'm going to catch a lot of beef for that statement, for the fact that it's like I am just legit opening the door for her to be like, yeah, no, yes, no. Like that's for her.
We live, I'm going to revisit this. We
Mhm.
live in a different time.
We do.
And because we live in a different time as parents, as adults, as what we're going through, as the world changes literally by the hour, by the
Mhm.
minute,
Mhm.
if you're not adapting to these changes as a parent for your children, you are doing them no good
No.
whatsoever.
No.
You are not helping them progress in
Mm-mm.
relationships. You're not
No.
helping them progress in life. You're not helping them progress in what they want to be.
Right.
You are you even any more in tune with what's going on with your children?
Right. Yeah.
I feel like I'm echoing.
No, I don't feel like you are.
Maybe I'm just overhearing myself.
Yeah.
But are you,
So
if you're
there's
not able to have this one-on-one talk with your kids and say, all right, I understand that you believe this. That's fine. It's okay. Are you interested in diving into that more of what you think your beliefs are?
Mhm.
And can I help show you what you think your beliefs are? Because if I can help show you what you think your beliefs are, and then let's go do this together. And what do you want to believe in? And what are your,
Yep.
if you are not actively taking those steps with your children,
Yes.
you are disservicing your children.
Yeah. And this even goes to the aspect and mindset of like say for instance, like my middle one, I'm not going to give a name, but my middle one at a certain point was like, I'm a boy. And I was like, okay, let's talk about that. And it wasn't like I jumped off with 2 feet when I was like, oh my God, okay, yes. Like, no. It was
Yeah.
like, let's talk about this. What's got your it was like an exploration of her beliefs of what she thought. And
Yeah.
I was it was
She just likes sports. She likes being outdoors.
yeah,
She is genuinely her.
yeah,
And it doesn't mean that she's gay, doesn't mean she's bisexual, doesn't mean
right,
any of these things
right,
society wants to tell her that she's going to be.
right.
It means she is who the fuck she is.
Right, exactly. But what I'm getting at is it's like I've had that experience and lived that experience. And even if later on in life she came to me and was like, oh, by the way, I am interested in girls or I'm bisexual or I'm a lesbian or whatever identification she wants,
That's her
me as
choice.
a parent, I'm still going to be have that questioning of like, how did you get here? Like, I'm just curious. Like, I'm not, and that's probably not how the conversation's gonna go, but that's gonna be the genuine topic of it, of like, "How'd we get here? What happened?" Like, not that what happened, it's a bad thing, but just the genuine curiosity of me of, "Hmm, like, there's a thought process to it."
Absolutely.
And so I just wanna understand my kid so that I can love them the right way and be with them in the right place, and that's okay. That is okay. If
As
any of my
well as it should
children
be.
came to me, any of them came to me and said any type of subject, any type of identity, anything, I would still have the same conversation of, you know what? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Can you tell me how, like, what are you thinking? Like, how do you think you got here? What's your thought process on it? Like,
I don't even care how they got there. Like, honestly.
oh, I think that's
Like,
important. That's a
it's
part of their story.
if it's them and they don't want, what I'm saying is I care, but I don't care to the fact that if they are not ready to unleash that
Oh yeah,
and they
there's
want to
gonna
keep
have
that to
that.
them,
That's gonna happen.
let them keep that for them until they figure it out fully.
Yeah.
That's why I said I don't care. I care, but I don't care.
Yeah. 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 And so
So
people are probably like, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, they have their opinions because their world hasn't been shook. I'm like,
bullshit.
shit.
You haven't been in our world.
My world's been shook a little bit. Like I've had to answer some pretty tough questions for my kiddos.
Let me tell you how our world kind of coexists in the world. Okay, if you were to take a snow globe and shake it up, you might as well put that motherfucker in your hands and shake it all day. That is our world. And if you can imagine living in a world like that, then you
Yeah.
can come talk to us and have an opinion about our lives.
Yeah.
If
To the
that's not
point,
you,
to the
then don't judge us. We're not judging you. We're just
no.
giving our perspective on our lives.
Right. To the point where this has really just been replaying on my heart and my soul and it's wearing on me. And I really can't wait to officially like cut ties with everyone who has a relationship with this person because I feel like up until this point I've done a good job of that. But there's like this one last person that is kind of playing back and forth.
Yeah.
Um my parents, my birth parents want to tell me that they love me, but they don't want to accept Miles. They want to love me, but say he was the worst mistake I've ever made. And so I've made the choice.
Well, that's not just one mistake. That would be two.
Yeah. For the person that I chose to have Miles with.
Yeah.
And because of that, and it's not something that this parent has said once, it's something that this parent has said repetitively and repetitively and repetitively. And then my mother coming to you, and essentially now the way that this context is played out in my head is that she told Jason to take Miles and leave me. And the
She told
reason
me that we would be better off, and this is hard to say on camera, sorry. Because yeah, we divulge a lot of our personal information.
Mhm.
I don't like any of our kids in any negative context on camera.
I understand.
Ever. Not that I'm cutting you off from your conversation because your conversation is valid and you have a place to speak from, okay?
Mhm.
And I'm not cutting you off. I just want to clarify and make it. I want the realism of how it was perceived and delivered.
Mhm.
You should just take Miles and leave. You two would be better off. Actually, you three would be better. It was you three would be better off, as she's going to do nothing but drain you. She's been a leech to us and a burden to us our entire lives.
Yes. So really ultimately the way that I look at that
And
conversation looking back on it is that that conversation was essentially so that you would disappear so that they could continue to manipulate me.
you. I understand exactly why and how it was
What they were hoping would play out.
conceived.
Yeah.
In that same sentence, I will also say that it has gone further into taking that same conversation into employees that are in that business, into
Yeah.
customers that
Yeah.
are in that business,
Yeah.
and taking that into public, even outside of that business.
Yeah.
And you're going to infuriate me if I continue this conversation.
Okay. All I was getting at with the part that I wanted to do and say is that I know that I'm getting a lot of flack from people of how could you write your parents off because they were so close to you. And I was able to write them off and close them off from my life because they wanted to manipulate me into the fact of what it is that they wanted from me. And that's what I'm getting at is you can't keep your children in bubbles because they are not meant to withstand pressure. And I chose to exit that bubble, like, and I have, now that I'm gone from that, I'm able to see the toxicity of how toxic that relationship was, and I wish them the best. Um, and I hope that they are able to forget me, and I hope that they're able to forget our children because it's not something that I'm ever going to go back to. It's not something I ever want to engage in again. And I,
P.S. Take my kids' pictures off your website now.
yeah, that'd be great. Um, I don't,
It's not an ask, it's a demand.
it's, and for some, and for a statement that you continue to repeat, he is not the worst thing that's ever happened to me or to us. He is not a burden. And
He was planned.
he
I
was
don't give a
planned.
shit what anybody thinks or feels like they want to weigh in on. Our child was planned. He was. He was very much planned. He was planned on a very specific day. These are things that you don't know. These are things that you don't get to know
Yeah.
because you didn't want to be involved.
Well, and
And the
they had
only
so much
involvement that you
judgment.
wanted to have was the fact that you made money off of myself and off of my fiance. You're fucking.
I know. I know. I was just talking about from the instance of like
I'm trying to sit here.
people did not understand. People just don't understand and don't get it, and they want to have an opinion on it. And yeah,
You could take your opinion elsewhere.
yeah. But I wanted to add, like, I understand why my mother weighed in the way that she did, was because she knew that if she weighed in like that my father would regain his control of what it is that he wanted from me, which was the fact that I was the moneymaker of the business in the way of which I was making the phones ring and strategizing and going out and learning and all of this while still not implementing everything to its full capabilities because he couldn't let go of control and growth. And there's just a lot of other mindset things that go along with that. But
Yeah.
it's just, I can't wait to stop hearing about what it is he has to say because
Oh, I hear about it daily. And you think that I know you're watching and you think that we don't know what's going on. Dude, I know way more than you think that I'll ever know. And I know more now than I did whenever I was close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yep.
do.
Yeah. Not such a good individual.
And you think because you tell your employees that they're going to hold things and you think it's a one employee, no, it's all of them. They all, including your customers that you speak your mind to,
Yeah.
including the people you buy your vehicles from that you speak your mind to.
Yeah.
I want you to know that they all full turnkey. Whatever your conversation is comes right back around.
Mm-hmm.
So while you think you have great relationships, you thought you had a great relationship here too until you burned it.
Yep. Well, I until I was able to open my eyes and see that it was true manipulation and just,
Everybody else has their eyes wide open.
yeah. Yeah, they do. It's saddening to say the least. And someone today at the birthday party was like, "So what are they going to do when they get older? They're their only child." And there again, there's that mindset that we've talked about in the past of
Yeah.
like,
Well, good luck with that.
children take on their parents as a burden. They reach an age of which your children take on the burden of your parents.
And they shouldn't.
No.
It should not be your child. You should not be your child's burden. Your children are working their asses off to become a better version of them, a
Mhm.
version of them for their own families, to take care of their own families.
But that's not the case.
And you
Not in
didn't.
not in that relationship
If you did
anyways.
not set yourself up properly, that is not your children's fault.
Mm-mm.
It's not. It's not your children's place to step in and take over your business. every business that I've ever created, every business that we've created, every business that I've ever been a part of,
Yeah.
other than one, has never been the mindset of you have to take care of this whenever I'm done. Nope. You're more than welcome to sell it to whoever you want. You're more than welcome to run it if you want, or you're more than welcome to not have to do any of those things. Do we have these conversations with our children quite frequently? Absolutely, we do.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's something that they want, well, we need to know. If it's not something that they want, well, we need to know. If it's something that is completely off topic, and believe me, all of our children don't want to run any of these businesses, nor do they want them,
Mm-mm.
because we are open with them enough for them to know that there are burdens attached with businesses.
Yes.
Just because it's a business doesn't mean it's always profitable.
Right.
Just because it's a business doesn't mean it's left behind as a legacy and that legacy is going to be profitable.
Right.
You could have a huge corporation.
Yeah.
And it be detrimental to leave behind.
Yeah. Absolutely. I do agree.
Look at Blockbuster. You think they should have left that behind to all of their grandkids?
No. I mean, there's just so many other things in with all of that. But
I'm just looking at like a one far away that it's
Yeah.
not going to be brought up.
yeah. Well, yeah, they go. How about Radio Shack?
Radio Shack stayed around for even a long period of time after they were like desizing and
Yeah.
depleting.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But no, I'm really looking forward to just not like I just want to reach a point, and I was excited when you left, and like you know what's funny is the kids don't even ask about them, about their grandparents.
No, they don't.
They don't even ask.
Ask about certain grandparents. The ones that want to actively play a role in their lives.
Or send birthday cards.
That's what I mean about actively play a role in their lives.
Or I mean, that just kills me. It just kills me. Like
it bugs the shit out of me too, honey.
How do you do that? Like, I understand you hate me. I understand you hate Jason. I understand you hate Miles, but you had 3 other grandchildren beforehand, and now they're just.
Look, how do you hate a baby?
I don't know.
If you can hate a baby, you need to go look in the mirror and hate yourself.
Yep.
Yeah. And I hope you do. I hope you hate yourself.
I think he'll reach a point where he does.
Matter of fact, I know you hate yourself. Because you would be successful if you didn't.
This is true. This is true. Yeah.
So, on that, we're going to wrap this up.
Yeah. Wait, we reached 100 minutes today.
We did, and my switcher's about to die.
Okay.
So,
all right, fade me out.
I appreciate everybody tuning in. I'm sorry we went left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, but that's how you march, right?
Love you, babe.
Love you too, honey. I'm glad that we didn't have to go too deep into that. Otherwise, I would have just completely checked out.
I know.
Love you guys. Thanks for your continued
support.
And we'll see you on number 6 of 100.
No, that was 4.
That's number 5.
Oh.
But thanks for keeping tuned.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.